Hey guys, welcome to another exciting story recap. Today in this video, we will take you through all the season recaps of Netflix drama series named Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey Season 1 Recap. Talking about the very first season of the series, it precisely began in Downton Abbey, an English country estate in April 1912 following the sinking of the Titanic. As a matter of fact, it is actually focused on the lives of the Crowley family and manor servants until August 1914, with the announcement of the First World War. While the two foremost storylines are concerning who will obtain Downton Abbey after the current Lord Grantham, Robert Crowley, and Miss Mary Cowley, and urge her to find a fitting husband. Downton Abbey Season 2 Recap. In the very second season, the events covered in the series include the Battle of the Somme in 1916, the Battle of Amiens and the Armistice in 1918, the Russian Revolution, and the Spanish flu pandemic. However, these are all in terms of housework. There's a severe shortage of able-bodied men doing housework. In addition, there's also the appointment of David Lloyd George as Prime Minister and the wartime alliance he created. Whereas Matthew, Crowley, and Thomas Barrow are participating in the war, the Irishman Tom Branson is not sure if he wants to fight for Britain. Robert Crowley was unable to serve due to his age. Sybil Crawley, regardless of his noble status, joined the volunteer assistance team as a nurse. Downton Abbey Season 3 Recap. This season was much more interesting than the previous ones, as 1920 was a period of great change, but for the Crowley family, this may be the end of a bad investment that resulted in a huge loss of money. To be precise, this series marked the debut of some of Crowley's relatives: Hugh McClellan, Marquis of Flintshire, his wife Susan and daughter Rose, most notably Cora's mother, Martha Levinson. As a result, under the stairs are some intense competition and romance among new hires: infantry Alfred Newgate and Jimmy Kent, and maids Ivy Stewart and Edna Brothwaite. Former maid Ethel Parks and her son are in trouble, and Anna Bates is determined to find evidence to release her imprisoned husband John. Well, Mrs. Mary Crowley and Matthew finally got married. Hence, the growing turmoil in Ireland will also affect the Crowley family because Mrs. Sybil Branson returns with her political husband Tom, where she will give birth to her first child, a daughter. Downton Abbey Season 4 Recap. To be precise, approximately 6 months after Matthew Crowley's death, Mary is adjusting to her new life and trying to continue living without the man she loves and raising her son, George. However, she now has two new suitors: Anthony, Lord Gillingham. He has known her since childhood but has not seen her since, and the nobleman Charles Black. To note, Tom Branson played a more important role in the family and became Robert's right-hand man. He also met a new friend, Sarah Bunting, as the schoolteacher. Following the same, Tom and Mary spent more and more time together, and as Mary began to participate in the management of the manor, their friendship continued to develop. Nanny West was a little excited in the nursery. On the other hand, Edith's relationship with Michael Gregson flourished. The relationship between John and Anna Bates is as strong as ever, but there have been some ups and downs. Cora's new maid Baxter has a past with Thomas Barrow, who has some power over her. Downton Abbey Season 5 Recap. Stating facts covering the months from February to December 1924, the 5th season will continue some of the storylines established in the 4th season, including the relationship between Mary Crowley and Anthony Foyle and Charles Blake, and Thomas Branson and Sarah Bunting's flirtation, Edith Crowley's pregnancy, and will explore the consequences of Rose McClare's and Jack Rose's engagement broken. Downton Abbey Season 6 Recap. Speaking about it, the new season begins at least 3 to 4 months after the end of Series 5, which is the beginning of 1925. The final episode ends with a New Year's party in 1926. While to less surprise, Ross Aldridge and her husband, Tom Branson, and Cy Branson all moved to the United States. Rose Aldridge and her husband moved to New York and were thought to start their own family. Tom Branson and his 5-year-old daughter, Sybil, soon returned from Boston and stayed. As a matter of fact, now Mary begins to spend more time with Henry Talbot, but is not sure about her true romantic feelings for him. Tom is sure she does love him, though. Edith began to travel to London more frequently to develop her publishing company and eventually hired a woman for her editor. She also re-established a friendship with Purdy Belham, the agent of Brancaster Castle, and began a relationship. However, at the same time, Anna and Bates also had their own complications. Anna had 2 miscarriages and was afraid of being infertile. In order to help, Mary asked her to see Dr. Ryder. He diagnosed her condition as cervical insufficiency, which can be treated with stitches. However, tensions between Isabel, Violet, and Cora began to escalate further as the British government took over Downton Hospital in Yorkshire. In order to win everything, Violet Crowley asked the Minister of Health, Neville Chamberlain, to come to dinner. A month later, the Crowleys decided to open the estate to the public for one day. On the other hand, the guy Thomas Barrow commenced observing more isolated and lonely, only because he resembled to be eliminated from many things the servants arranged. He finally tried to end his life by slashing his wrist, but Mrs. Baxter, Andy, and Mrs. Hughes found him in time. Edith and Bertie's love affair intensified, and he proposed to him. Edith wanted to accept, but didn't know how to deal with the future of young Marigold. Bertie accepts Marigold as his guardian, but the malicious Mary reveals that Marigold is the illegitimate child of Edith, and Bertie dissolves the marriage contract. Speaking of this, Tom Branson suddenly lost his calm, angrily scolding Mary for always ruining everything, not only for his sister but also for herself. Edith and Mary had a fierce argument. Before heading to London, Edith said how perfect Henry Talbot was for her and always has been. Knowing that she could do something for the two sisters, Tom wrote to Violet Crowley, who had returned from a trip in southern France, to help heal the long-term rift between her two granddaughters. After talking to Mary, she asked Mary to admit that the reason why she firmly rejected Henry Talbot as her second husband was because she was afraid of losing him, just like she was with Matthew. Violet assured Mary that she must first reconcile with her sister and then herself. At the grave of Matthew Crowley, Mary wondered if he would be happy that she chose to marry another man, and promised that no matter how much she loved Harry, she would love him forever. Isabel is pleased with Mary's decision to marry again. Henry Talbot arrived and was confused by Mary's sudden decision to see him after she had driven him out harshly. Mary corrected this and admitted that she did love him in return, and they agreed to get married in the church. Edith arrives unexpectedly and she reconciles with Mary. Meanwhile, in August, Edith proposed to transfer Marigold to a boarding school in London, where Edith would spend most of her time isolated. Henry is still worrying about losing his best friend in the Brooklyn game and decides that he needs a job away from Downton. Tom decided to accompany him and they agreed to keep it secret. Mary wanted to know why Henry felt listless and assured him that her love for him was eternal. In London, he told Edith that he was considering giving up racing for himself to be like Mary. Edith received a telegram from Rosamund to dine with her at the Ritz Hotel, but she was shocked to see Bertie Pelham waiting for her. Downton Abbey Season 7. So far, Downton Abbey has been broadcast for 6 seasons. The first season aired in 2010, and the previous season aired in 2015. The official announcement and release date for Season 7 of Downton Abbey. Regarding the release of the 7th season, the official announcement has not been announced. Season 6 ended in 2015, after which the movie was released in 2019. However, the sequel Downton Abbey 2 of the 2019 movie Downton Abbey is currently under negotiation, and the content released to its release is constantly updated. The sequel was originally scheduled to be released in December this year, but it has been postponed. Now the new date is set for March 18, 2022, which may be to avoid the movie crowd originally scheduled for Christmas. As a result, the 7th season of the TV series may not appear in the near future, because the sequel of the movie itself will be released in March next year. That was all about it. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such exciting videos. Until next time.